we've seen so many proto nations, semi-autonomous regions, for example, that have been yearning from fighting for social independence, full recognition of statehood. Transnistria in Moldova comes to mind. Kurdistan comes to mind. Balochistan in southern Iran, parts of Afghanistan, parts of Pakistan come to mind. You have many ethnic groups around the world that would love to have the same setup that Israel has. As I've mentioned, they've gotten over $300 billion in aid from the U.S. Since their founding in 1947. They've had complete military protection for the better part of 80 years. They've had weapons deals with the United States and with Western powers that entire time to have the most advanced weapons to fight back against their enemies within the region. They have nuclear weapons, an unknown number, and nobody's willing to say exactly how they got them, but everyone knows as an open secret that Israel has nuclear weapons. They have access to stealth fighters, the F-35I. They're the only country that has their own variant of the F-35. So you have the F-35A for the Air Force, F-35B for the Marines, vertical takeoff and landing, F-35C, get it, S-E-A, or the letter C, the C F-35 for the Navy, and then the F-35I, which is the Israeli variant that runs completely different software that American engineers cannot work on, and that nearly broke the American-Israeli relationship when it came to arms deals. But the Israeli lobby was able to make sure that, guess what? Y'all should just go ahead and shut the hell up. We saw during the Biden administration, Biden would tell Netanyahu, don't go into Rafah. And Netanyahu would say, oh, that's cute. And then immediately go into Rafah. No president, whether Republican or Democrat, is willing to cut off aid to them, willing to tell them not to do things, willing to hold them to account within the region. That's not to criticize them. The only question is, well, why do they have that very favored status when the Transnistrians would love to have that, the Kurds would love to have that, and most importantly, I think African Americans would love to have that deal right here in America. Because if we can afford $300 billion in aid to Israel over the course of 80 years, then we can put that exact same plan in place right here in the United States of America. The reason that Monrovia and Liberia failed was we were attempting to take African Americans who have been in the United States for generations at that point in time, who only spoke the languages here, who only knew the people here, who had adapted to the climate here, who had thoroughly become American genetically here and were distinctive from their homes back on the African continent, and drop them there to take land and resources away from other melanated peoples and allow them to essentially become the colonizers on their own homelands, as opposed to working with the indigenous people there. They set them up to work against them, for them to be adversaries as opposed to partners. So we're going to have that sort of Israeli model of African American reparations because we see that one works. No one's gonna look at Tel Aviv or Jerusalem and say that that model isn't working. Well, I think we have to have a similar setup here. My suggestion has always been that you need a geographical region. You need a nation state. The same way that our Native American populations have autonomous reservation areas, you need a nation state. You need a base for your people to operate. You need a base for commerce. You need a base for policy. You need a base for governing decisions. As a group, black folks haven't really had leadership since Reverend Jackson was the unofficial prime minister of Black America. But you have to have a geographic or territorial area in order to do that. So I think we should cordon off a nice little area that's large enough for the entirety of the population, if they want to immigrate there, to live and to have property rights, to be able to run the governmental system, to be able to make international treaties, to make and enforce laws, to set up their own constitutional system, as it would be. The same thing that we did for Israel. We're just going to do this in South Carolina for black folks who are the descendants of the formerly enslaved. We'll have property. The same way they did in Israel, did the same thing on this property that will be confiscated through eminent domain throughout South Carolina. You'll have access to international deepwater ports that can receive both deepwater shipping, international trade, cruise ships, and the like. You'll have access to international airports. They'll be able to transport you anywhere in the world, including major travel hubs in Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia, Miami, New York, etc. You'll have access to fertile territory and land for agriculture, as well as major cities and universities, which can be deeded over to the new government of this semi-autonomous region. However, military will still be handled by the United States military, because we do not want to go into direct military conflict with what will essentially be our suzerain in this situation. America will still maintain its federated constitutional system. Black folks will not be receiving checks in the mail, as many people bemoan when it comes to the concept of reparations. Rather, will be invested into building an actual nation state where you will be able to have land, freedom, opportunity, and a moment of self-determination that our people have not had since we were forced off of our initial home continent so many hundreds of years ago. It will be a full circle moment. Maybe at some point in time we can be accepted into the African Union. Maybe at some point in time we can establish diplomatic relationships, have ambassadors around the world, and create our own Wakanda here in the United States of America. And we have the political will to build that in the Middle East for Jerusalem, for people who never were in America. We should create the political will to generate and create the exact same thing for African Americans right here in the United States who helped build this country from the ground up. You get around all the problems of figuring out who gets what when. You create a generational structure so the money's not just gone after a generation. You give each individual a part of a democratic system where they can say they were the founding fathers of a black nation. And for America, you get to not just repay the debt to the people who you enslaved and helped to make you a great nation, but also you get to get all the black people into one place so that they won't be bothering you, because it seems that y'all don't like us in a lot of places. It actually benefits you. All these white towns are popping up in Arkansas and Missouri. People are saying they want to have a white nationalist Christian nation. They want to go back to the founding fathers, all those things. Fine, cool. I don't want to be nowhere that nobody wants me to be at. So you help us build our black nation. That will be a semi-autonomous nation connected to, but with diplomatic suzerainty to the U.S. And I think we can all get along and be happy. Just give us the Israeli model of reparations, and I think we're on the right path. I want to hear what you